Welcome to the Scariest Things podcast, your gateway to the trends and tropes of the horror genre. Episode 159. It's time for the top 10 horror movies of 2022 and the bottom 3. We're one short of a royal flush today, but we have a lot of the most of our scariest teams assembled. I am your host, Eric Lee, and as usual, I'm joined in New Orleans by
Liz Williams.
And now from Washington, D.C.,
Robert Zillbauer.
And from Seoul, South Korea,
Joseph Perry.
There we go, Joseph.
Hey.
We get the Pacific lag right there. 2022, you guys. In general, what are your thoughts on the year? Joseph, why don't we start with you, since you get off to a bit of an earlier start than a lot of us because you get a lot of the early film festivals out. What's your take on what we got this year?
My thoughts in general on this year are that personally I had at least 20 movies that could have been on my top 10 list, and it was super hard to whittle it down to 10. So I thought it was a really banner year for films from festivals and in the wide releases that I got to see as well. And there are still many wide releases I need to see. So that sounds like a pretty darn good year to me.
Yeah. I forgot to mention Mike Campbell is down with the flu. So he was good enough to send us his top 10 list. And so he will not be here to defend himself when we start bagging on his selections. Although, actually, I think there's going to be a number of them that they're going to see some agreements on. But Mike, get better soon. We wish you could have been on this podcast because we know how much you enjoy kind of this kind of banter. So, Liz, what's your take?
I totally agree with Joseph. There were a lot of films this year. Looking through my list, narrowing it down, looking back on our site to see all the reviews of everything we all watched. There was a lot of good product this year. I think it's probably related to holding some stuff back from the pandemic, things we wanted to release just in theaters, but we got to do a lot of festivals. We got to see a lot of cool stuff, and man, it was hard to make a top 10 list, so I have a top 11 list.
Oh, okay.
With no TV for the first year.
No
I have
TV.
no TV.
Wow.
So all films. That's how many good ones there were.
And so Robert had a actual transition where you were not only were you in transit between Nicaragua and Washington this year, but your computer it was lost on a boat somewhere in the Atlantic for the better part of 2 months. So
yeah, it was.
So
I had my laptop with me the whole time, but
Okay.
yeah, it was, our stuff was away for a while. Yeah, that was unfortunate.
So did you find this year easier or harder to pick?
It was I think it was harder. And one of the interesting things I noticed after making my top 11, because I have a tie, was that there's probably 9 out of the 11 movies that I have are writer directors.
Oh, okay.
They're not
Interesting.
so there are lots of indie films, a lot of debuts,
Yeah. All right.
I don't think that happened last year. So
I think, to follow up on what Liz was saying, was this felt like we're now back in normal production mode, or maybe even in bumper crop mode, where all of a sudden that there have been some really good films that they held on to, and now we got a whole bunch of stuff, because I saw 62 horror movies released from this year, which was, I think that's probably, like, on an average year, I'm thinking I'm around somewhere in the mid 40s to low 50s. So I got a lot more movie watching in, and that's even dodging around a lot of movies that I kind of didn't want to see. Like, for example, I have not seen Halloween Ends yet because, one, I was so pissed at the previous version of the franchise, and then I heard that this last one was a stinko. I just went, I don't need to see it. And then I think Liz scared me off of seeing Terrifier 2 because I don't know if I could stomach it. And at some point I'll probably get around to it. But there were probably I've got 10 films on this list on written down that I actually didn't get a chance to go see. So there were, if you think about it, if at 62 movies, I was seeing more than one horror movie a week. And so I thought it's like, all right, not bad. And I think I have a mix of the studios came out. I think the most encouraging thing is this was a year where the studios came out with a lot of new material. Or
for sure.
More
good mix.
More creative stuff. There weren't a lot of sequels. There weren't a lot of the reboots that were done were good reboots.
Maybe
in some cases, I'd say we'll get to some of these. I've got a reboot on high on my list. But I think there's one also a reboot that's on my stinker list. So but by and large, it didn't feel like sometimes you get like I think 2020 of course was choked off. And 2021 was sort of just coming out of it because productions were choked off in 2020. And so things that got filmed tended to be things like Host, or maybe Host might have been actually in 2020 itself, but films where they actually had to were beholden to COVID protocols and limited ability to get out and do shoots and anything that had to do.
And the theaters were closed, so there wasn't a lot of releasing going on there.
And even they may have probably also feared box office. They figured now, okay, people are actually coming back in big numbers. I think the idea, like not our types of films for the most part, but the $1 billion movie potential is now out there for the blockbusters, and that I think that was like Top Gun and Batman and those kinds of things. And so I think the rising tide raising all ships. Horror movies went with it, and I think there were some movies that really performed, I think, a whole lot better than anybody would have figured that they would have. I don't know. We'll not sure if it'll be on any of our lists, but Smile made a ton of money, and nobody saw that coming, right?
Right.
And so that's one of those things where it's like, oh well, okay, I guess but some things like I'd bet you Halloween Ends did not. They probably still made a profit, but it didn't make Halloween reboot money, which was significant. All right,
let's jump in.
Let's do this. Let's start. We'll let the absentee landlord here open up. We'll get let's find out what Mike has on his number 10.
All right, I will speak on behalf of Mike. Mike's number 10 is Hypochondriac. Okay, Hypochondriac. It was directed by Addison Hyman, and Mike says Hypochondriac is really a film that hits in the right place and the right time. Mental health, familial relationships, concern about physical health and well-being, and our collective sense that we might just be lost in the universe. Hypochondriac delivers on all these fronts and manages to sneak in a couple of legitimate scares. In much the same way that 1971's Let's Scare Jessica to Death toys with reality and insanity, Hypochondriac creates a myopic world where anything is possible. Lurking right around the corner, there might be a vampire, a ghost, or worse yet, a parent-induced trauma from 20 years ago that's never been dealt with properly. Hypochondriac came out, I think, it premiered at South by Southwest and then hit a bunch of festivals because it got amazing buzz.
Yep. Yeah, and
I still have not seen it.
I haven't either. Joseph,
there's just been too many.
Joseph, you might have caught this one since it was on the festival circuit for quite a while.
Yes, I did. I remember I saw that one kind of earlier, so I remember enjoying it. As much as you can use the word enjoying with a film like that, but you know what I mean. It was a well-made film, and I think Mike liked it much more than me, but anyway, it's definitely one that I can recommend to folks for, as you were mentioning earlier, Eric, unusual fare, something that that's more original than a lot of the sequels that we're used to getting, or just retread tropes and plot lines. So yeah, it's it's good independent fare for sure.
All right. So that is Hypochondriac Mike's number 10.
Yeah.
So my number 10 and number 11, because I have a tie. I have a tie for number 10. I could not pick one to knock off.
Okay.
And so my tie is Glorious, directed by Rebecca McKendry, and Dashcam, directed by Rob Savage. Two completely different films that I could not pick one or the other. Glorious is literally about a bathroom glory hole that has a cosmic entity in it and stars Ryan Kwanson, Lovecraftian God in the bathroom.
In a bathroom stall.
Yeah. And Dashcam is the MAGA hat wearing horrible protagonist, Annie Hardy, in a found footage odyssey across the pond. So both of them are so fun. Glorious is a Shudder original, streaming there. Dashcam, I saw it at Panic Fest, but it is now on Hulu for everybody to watch. Just make sure you look for Dashcam, directed by Rob Savage, because there is also a Dashcam that Mike reviewed for the Scariest Things that is a completely different film.
Right. And Rob Savage is the same director who did Host.
So
he's been on a bit of a hot streak.
He is, and you can listen to my interview with him on the Scariest Things.
There you go. Glorious was, I don't know how this managed to get past Gwen and Brian for the Lovecraft Film Festival, because this is wacky. It was very close to my top 10.
It's a lot of fun and real weird.
It's extremely weird, because in particularly when the cosmic entity demands that he use the glory hole, you're going, oh, what? No. And of course, the hole is around the hole in the bathroom stall is the painting of some multi-mouth tentacle beastie, straight out of The Thing, right? It's a very Lovecraftian monster, and it's got the voice of J.K. Simmons.
Voiced by J.K. Simmons. Yep.
So it has that, and he speaks, and if you're familiar with J.K. Simmons, you know that he has, when he wants to be, he can be the Farmers Insurance soothing voice, and then he can go into what's the drumming movie?
Whiplash,
where he can become
screaming at you.
He can become this terrifying beast of a voice. He's great, and I think there's maybe 3 characters in the whole movie, including one you never see.
Right,
but it's quick.
It's Ryan Quanten's show from True Blood, and he's great.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
All right,
so my number 10. This is. I'm not sure. I bet you some other folks are going to have it on their list. X.
Yes, I have it higher, and so does
too.
Mike.
Okay.
Oh, and so does Robert.
All right. So bypassing me, moving on to Robert.
My number 10 is Speak No Evil.
And we will discuss that later because it is higher on my list.
So
much higher.
Much. Okay.
Joseph,
much higher on mine, too.
Okay, all right.
Moving quick. All right.
Yep. Joseph, what you got for number 10?
Oh, a tie.
Okay.
I don't want I don't want anybody else to feel like, oh, I shouldn't have a tie. So here I am. Yeah. Number 10, the tie for number 10 is The Black Phone.
Okay, that's much higher on my list.
That one?
It's higher on mine too.
Okay. And maybe this will be higher on yours, Liz. I don't know. A Wounded Fawn.
It did not make my list.
Oh. Ooh. Okay, but it's higher on Robert's.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My goal is to have everything higher, so I don't have to discuss some.
We'll get
100%.
You will get a chance to talk about that. And so what that was. So Mike's number 9 is Speak No Evil.
And it's higher on my list and Joseph's,
higher.
I think. So we will save that for later.
Moving up. So then, Liz, what's your number 9?
My number 9 is a movie I saw last week and loved every second of it, and it is Violent Night. I cannot believe I have a Christmas movie on my list.
Nice.
But hot damn, is this a great time. So this is David Harbour playing Santa Claus, John Leguizamo playing the big bad, and Beverly D'Angelo playing the matriarch of a horrible, horrible family that is held hostage on Christmas Eve. It is directed by Tommy Wirkola, who did the Dead Snow franchise. And it is great holiday fun that is currently in theaters. Go give them your money. You will not regret it. You will be laughing and grossed out. And it is
emphasis on violence.
It's going to be a Christmas tradition in our house. Yes, it is very violent.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So number 9 on my list is Fall. So I don't know if it's any
sweaty palms and all.
Sweaty palms. This is this was harrowing and literally sweaty palms. I think Robert and I were having a text discussion about this, but my hands flop sweat on my hands. And it is a stunning movie to watch. I think when you see it in 4K, it'll bring out the acrophobe in you. And I think what really struck me about Fall is that I do gym climbing. Or I did, actually, for about 10 years.
Until I saw this movie.
Until I got soft and the gym climbing prices went to $180 a month. That's enough to cut you off. It's like, all right, I need to go like 3 days a week, and I ain't doing that. Although if I did, I'd actually have biceps again. But
you climb that thing, whatever they climbed, that radio tower.
And I thought, because this is movies like Open Water, movies like Frozen, the survival movies when you have adventurers doing daring things and then get caught in situations like I could totally picture myself there. Now, I would never try and climb the kinds of things that these folks are trying to climb, but you recognize those personalities, the daredevils who say, no, let's go kick fear in the ass, and we're going to do this, and I'm going to go without a rope, and it seems like awfully foolhardy, but they're like courageous to a fault, and
it had a nice little kind of twist to it too, a little reveal towards the end.
Right? Yeah. There was
really well done.
It was very surprisingly well done.
Yes, I was expecting something that would have skimped on the plot. They would have just, but it impressive production values. I did think though, it also kind of made me agitated because they were taking risks that it's like, okay, if you get 20 feet up in the air and one of the rungs comes loose, you stop and reevaluate whether by the time you get to the 1,800 foot mark, what happens.
It was all for the likes, though. You had to get the likes.
Yeah, it was totally. And from the podcaster's point of view, I know what it means to try and get more views. Otherwise,
Eric will climb a tower for 5-star Apple podcast review.
Smash or like the thing, or I'm gonna jump out of this airplane.
Smash that subscribe button.
Yeah. Yes, please do. But they're all the way to the point. It's like there are some other things where they would show, a close-up view of a loose bolt, and you're going, that's going to come into play. It's like, oh, and here's some vultures on the ground. That's going to come into play. And they all do at the opportune moments, kind of, in a way like the Quiet Place would do it, where they would show you elements and foreshadow, and it pays them off. And I think it didn't also cheap out with the ending. I think that the two girls stuck at the top of just this like a hopeless situation. They actually come up with a decent solution. I mean, they tried to rescue themselves, but you're 2,000 feet in the air with no ladder. So what do you do?
I agree. Great. It was a great film.
So X surprised the hell out of me. I was thinking it's like, we'll see. But it was one of those last minutes like, I should probably catch some of these films that I missed during the year, and it was like, oh, that was really good. So yeah.
I wish I would have seen it in the theater. I would love to see that on the big screen.
Yeah,
because it was horrifying at home. Wayne was pacing because he's like totally afraid of heights. He's like, I can't even look. I can't even look at this film. Yeah, so I can't imagine seeing it on the theater. On
IMAX 3D would have.
Yes.
Ooh, no.
That would have had people barfing.
Yeah.
I need to see this one. I was trying to watch it in the last previous few days for possibly being included on my list. I just didn't have the time to do that, but listening to you three, I'm going to have to watch it soon here. Yeah, I have a fear of falling from a height. I'm okay with heights as long as there's not a chance of me falling.
You'll
So,
love this movie then.
There's a chance.
This is falling hazards at every twist and turn. And
Chekhov's vultures too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Chekhov's vultures. Exactly.
that was what's the cat? What's the who's
That's Schrodinger's cat. Schrodinger's cat.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Schrodinger's vulture.
Yeah.
So that was my number. That was my number 9. Robert, what have you got for yours?
My number 9 is Deadstream.
Oh, interesting choice.
Okay. So this was, Joseph, was this on your list?
It is not on my list, but I enjoyed it.
He's got it higher.
It's not on my list. I really liked it a lot. I think Robert and I liked it more than Eric and Mike did, if I remember.
Yeah, I
think that's true. Yeah.
I'll reserve my comments until after Robert does his description, because I also fully recognize that this movie, I think, had rave reviews in both South by Southwest and at Overlook, both of which we attended, and I think it is.
Did you guys see it there?
Oh,
Mike disliked it so much at South by that I skipped it at both. And then, once I saw their segment on VHS, I was like, well, I gotta watch Deadstream, and I really, really liked it.
Yeah. So I think Mike and I are in the minority. Mike more. I have it around 2.5. But Robert, go ahead and talk about it, because I think there's a lot of people who really loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a disgraced podcaster or video blogger trying to win his fans back for his show, and he spends the night in the haunted house, of course, as you do.
Mm-hmm.
And it was basically the Joseph Winter show. It was written and directed by Joseph and Vanessa Winter, and it's mostly just Joseph Winter one-man banding it the whole time. But it's almost found footage at times, but then it's also not, because he's got different cameras put it around the house and stuff. And it's just this constant stream of banter from the lead actor.
Well, the best part is the reaction comments from his fans.
Yes.
who are totally, your classic, hard to please, social media trolls. Right.
Yes,
it's like a lot of kill yourself.
Yeah.
Watching the comments go by is half of the fun.
And then him defending it. It's like, no, wait. Let me do this for you. And those parts were great. I have a feeling and the girl who was in it, who also showed up in VHS. Yeah, Melanie Stone, who also was great in VHS 99. Same directing crew. She was a treat. I think where I kind of got turned around on this was there seemed to be a good bit of repetition. I think that and it was what I was trying to also figure out how he was going to achieve his end goal, and how it did go sideways in a hurry. I think he was trying to revive his like he'd been in a slump. Yeah. And then it was like, hey guys, check it out. I'm doing this crazy thing.
He did something where he lost his sponsors. I don't remember if they ever tell you exactly what it was.
It was some sort of scandal.
Yeah.
And he kept apologizing throughout the movie for this thing that we don't know what it was.
Yeah.
But
I enjoyed it.
Well,
go ahead, Joseph.
Oh, I was just going to say, if it weren't for these horror films with live streamers and YouTubers and social influencers, I wouldn't have any exposure at all to that world, basically. So for me, this is obviously becoming a subgenre in its own right. And for me, it all depends on how much you connect with the main characters, who are, vloggers or YouTubers or social influencers, or how much you want to see them get theirs. Yeah. Now, the problem with the second one is that you have to wait about an hour and a half usually for their comeuppance.
Yep.
And you hate the hour and a half before that. Okay, and I think dash cam is another good entry, much like the one we're talking about here, where okay, dash cam I couldn't stand the
Right.
main character,
Yeah,
right?
you weren't supposed to. I
But
think it was.
I
Yeah.
could, right, but I could hang with it the whole time because the character was strong enough that I did want to see what was going to happen.
Mhm.
All right.
Mhm.
And for the film we're talking about now, I thought Joseph Winter was deliberately annoying, but comically enough so that I was with it the whole time.
Right. Right.
And
Definitely.
It was a delicate line.
so
Yeah.
this was this was a much easier watch for me than Dashcam, and it was funny. It was really funny, I thought.
Mhm.
And I'm a big horror comedy fan, so when they work like this, they get my seal of approval, and I
Mhm.
really enjoyed
Yeah.
this.
There were a couple of films. Another film that was like the, or it had similar social media influencer tropes was Sissy, that
Mhm.
also
Oh,
came
yeah,
out
yeah.
Right.
and was big on the circuit and won, I think, Overlook's grand prize.
Like the audience award. Yeah.
And again, it was
Mhm.
one that Mike and I kind of like, maybe not for my.
I
for
agreed
me.
though too. It wasn't for me.
But it was that one. That one had really cool production values, but it was just I couldn't root for anybody. I had no rooting interest, and maybe that's my reaction as an old man to a bunch of social influencers, right? I think I get that.
Get off
I get
my
that.
lawn.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
you kids and your crazy YouTube
Get
streaming
off the
stuff.
Facebook and the YouTube.
Yeah, I don't want to smash the like
And the
button. God damn it!
TikTok.
Although if you want to smash the like button for us,
Yeah.
Please subscribe.
that's right. So here I am, trying to be a social influencer, bagging on social influencers. What's the world come to? Okay.
Well,
All
there's
right.
there's a new film that I just recently saw that's on the festival circuit called Influencer, and it's much different. It's much different than the ones we're discussing, and I think it was really good. So I recommend when that one comes around, whether it's at a festival or a wide release, which I'm sure it will get pretty soon. It's super well done.
Yeah, and I liked Superhost, which came out.
Oh, Superhost was awesome.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
another social influencer one.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
I think we're gonna have to do a whole episode on social.
We may
media
have to do.
horror.
I mean, it's becoming. I was asked actually by somebody who said, "So, what do you see as breaking trends in the horror genre?" And I think social influencer and that kind of that
Mm-hmm.
or Zoom horror
Mhm.
and that kind of stuff. We're using the new technologies. I mean, that's the new thing. And we actually had that kind of an interesting conversation Liz and I did with Alexander Chinichi talking about VHS. And it's like, well, at a certain point, the VHS is no longer a viable technology to talk about. It's all going to, and it's like, yeah, but they're going to keep milking the 80s and 90s. So, okay.
All
But
right.
the flip side of that is streaming horror.
Yep. Joseph,
Joseph, yeah,
what
number
is
9.
your number 9?
Okay, from streaming horror to another current trend in fair films. Why are people still doing house rental horror films?
Oh.
And is Barbarian probably higher on somebody
Oh
else?
yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
Higher on mine.
Much
Yeah.
higher.
All right.
Batting out so far on that.
Yeah, you're doing well.
Yeah.
I
Good
know.
job.
Not having to talk too much yet. All right. So going back to the
Your
top.
plan is working. All right. So we're going to go with Mike's number 8, which is Barbarian. So we will still be talking about Barbarian later because
Yep.
it's higher on my list.
It's higher on my list.
Mine
All
too.
right. So my number 8 is When the Screaming Starts.
Oh, yeah.
Directed by
Oh.
Connor Borrow. I saw this at Panic Fest and Joseph caught this at Film Quest. We both gave this 4 out of 5s. And this is about Norman, who's a documentary filmmaker looking for his big break. And he ends up meeting Aiden, who is an aspiring serial killer. And you follow Aiden trying to put together his Manson-like family full of outcasts and weirdos. And do their first crime. And it goes from hilarious horror comedy spins around and becomes a bloody nightmare of a film.
Yeah.
And it is a lot of fun. You can now rent it on like Apple, Amazon, all those streaming platforms, and totally worth a watch. A little indie film that deserves to be seen by a lot more people. It's really funny.
Yeah,
really,
very
really
funny.
funny.
I had it as
forgotten
4
about that
stars on mine for me too, and
Yeah.
I think that it has one of the most dramatic tonal shifts. That really it's kind of got a on off where it's like comedy's off, horror is on. And although there were horror elements all the way from the beginning, and there were still some funny bits towards the end. But when it gets serious,
it got bloody.
Yeah. And it got intense. But I also love the fact that that our lead, who was trying to form that Manson family, didn't have the stomach to do it. He just wanted to get the credit for it. It's like, I will lead from home base. You guys go commit a bunch of murders.
You go exactly like Manson.
Yep.
You guys do it.
Yeah. And he was like this dopey guy, and then he come in and it's like, see, wasn't that great? I was such a mastermind. And it was like, no, you're not. No,
it was a real fun movie, real creative.
And we had a great time actually talking with multiple actors and producers of that show. If you haven't gotten a chance to listen to it, it's still up on our site. You can go ahead and stream it.
Was that on at Overlook? You talked to him?
No, we talked to them after Panic Fest on Zoom. We talked to Ed and Connor, and we had a really good time. It's a great conversation, and
funny guys.
Yeah. And Jared.
Yeah.
They were the actors and producer.
And they also all pitched in also for our top 100. So yay.
Oh, nice.
Yes. All right. That was my number 8.
Now, my number 8 probably only might have one other person, and I'll see if Joseph has it on his list, but it's Nati Morti. The Italian.
Absolutely not on mine. It's just, well, Eric, I'll say why after.
Yeah,
Let's hear your thoughts.
Sure. No, it's not necessarily a hot take. This is an extreme, brutal, hard to watch movie. I saw this is
that's exactly why.
The actual title of this is Born Dead. If you translate it to English, it's really it's an homage to giallo films, or it is a giallo film more specifically, Blades of Plenty. But it's also taxidermy horror. So
taxidermy horror,
where there's a young woman who's in this dilapidating old manor that she inherited from her father, and she's a taxidermist, and it shows her lovingly stitching together a pigeon in the opening scenes, and then she goes out in the woods into a park and finds finds 2 bodies out in the woods. One of them is a woman who's dead, and one of them is a man who's barely alive. And it just so happens that the man had killed the woman, but during their fight managed to also get hurt. And rather than call the cops, she decides to take the bodies back to her taxidermy den and start messing around with them. And it is really, really rough. And she has some plans. There's also a side plot involving her sister trying to take the mansion away from her, even though her father gave her the inheritance. And the violence in this is extremely personal and extremely painful looking, and does not cut away from anything. And it's like it is super duper intense at times, and but it's also been desaturated. The color's been it's almost a black and white movie. It looks like that you're seeing sort of a silver version of it, which I think helps to some, like giallo. You tend to think of bright reds, right? Splashes of blood, but you definitely get the knives. The knives are out, and I think this one is maybe difficult to actually see on. I don't know if it's available streaming yet. But this was again something that I saw at the Portland Horror Film Festival. Joseph, did you see it at the Portland Horror Film through the Portland Festival site, or did you see it through another?
Right. No, through Portland Horror,
Mhm.
and take away the technical aspect, things that you discussed, Eric, and everything else about it being extreme and brutal and hard to watch. Those are the exact reasons why it didn't click with me. I'm just not a fan of extreme horror, and so this didn't check my boxes. But it's well made, as you mentioned, and certainly not easy to watch, though. So, for viewers who are drawn to that style, I think they're going to find a lot to. It's hard to use the word like, but I guess that's the word I have to use there.
I think it might be more appreciate. I think it was a powerful movie because it's not fun, not in the least bit. It's not this is like no. I would draw some equivalencies to some of the French extremism that Liz likes.
I remember when you, I think, mentioned this probably for the Portland Horror, and I was like, yeah, I need to watch this. And then you had me at her taxidermy den.
Yeah. And of course, that taxidermy stuff is going to come in handy.
It's people.
Later.
Yeah.
Yes. It's like, look, I stuffed him and he looks alive.
Yep.
But actually, this was heavily influenced by Joe D'Amato, 1979 giallo film called Buio Omega, Beyond the Darkness. And so it takes on several. That was another giallo taxidermy film. So he credits that with direct influence. So if you get a chance to, if this is your kind of bag, if you like the knives and guts, well, hey, this may be your bag. But it's well acted, beautiful looking, just rough, really really rough. Robert.
Where are we? Number 8?
Yep.
Number 8.
Number 8. I think this is higher on other people's lists, but my number 8 is X.
Yep. No, actually, mine was 10. So
it's higher on my list, and it's higher on Mike's list.
Okay. Then moving on to Joseph.
Yes. Ooh, we lost you a little bit, Joseph. Start again. Joseph, we are now experiencing a delay from South Korea.
Yeah.
Joseph?
All right.
There we go.
See, my number 8, probably not on lists yet, but let's see. Everyone Will Burn.
No,
but it sounds promising.
I heard about this one though.
I'm not aware of
this. This was just at a festival. Fantasia, maybe.
Let's see. Where did I see it? Let me check. Oh, Fantastic Fest.
Okay.
I saw it through Fantastic Fest, and it is playing other festivals. Let's see. So this is a Spanish film directed by David Hebrero. Short, don't worry. The Spanish Fear Fest has it all. Superb visuals, top-notch performances, and mind-melting set pieces. Fans of Euro horror and supernatural horror will want to put this film, the story of a woman and a young girl who stops her from committing suicide, taking on a town full of hateful people fearing an apocalypse, on their must-see list. I had a big M dash in the middle there, which may not have translated to audio, but anyway, yes. So basically, it starts off with a woman considering ending her life, and then a young girl who is shunned by the locals stops her, and well, I always hate to give away things in my reviews, but this is at the very beginning. We'll just say that an incident involving some policemen occurs, and we see that there's a weird symbiotic relationship going on between this woman and this child, and the town wants nothing to do with either one of them, which, well, we'll see how that plays out for the locals as the film rolls on. But yeah, a really great supernatural film for those who enjoy it. And like I said, it's definitely got that classic European horror film quality to it as well. So I highly recommend this one, obviously.
Is it available streaming yet? Or is it
Not yet?
Yeah.
Still on the festival circuit, I believe. But I think I saw something about it being picked up somewhere, but I don't want to get quoted on that at this point. Keep an eye out for it, though. It has to be picked up soon if it hasn't been already.
Right. And Liz, just so you know, Born Dead, Nati Morti, is available on Amazon Prime.
Nice.
So there you go. Get your extremism on. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. So moving up to number 7 on Mike's list.
Number 7 is Swallowed. Okay.
This one just fell off. If I knew that there were going to be a whole bunch of people doing ties for number 10, this would have been tied for number 10 on mine.
So Mike gives this a 4.5 out of 5. It is directed by Carter Smith, and being a drug mule is the absolute worst. Mind you, this reviewer has never been a drug mule. That's Mike speaking, not me. Just kidding.
Liz
I have
Liz
not
is
either.
an experienced drug mule.
But there's a nagging feeling that muling drugs for miscreants, reprobates, and slackened adults would be an awful time. The only thing worse than being a drug mule, when the drug mules are forced into servitude in the name of Cronenbergian insects and a web of gnarly body horror. This was one that we caught at the premiere at Overlook, and boy, it was good.
It was really good. And Carter Smith it's great to have him back. I think you get the sense that he kind of got blacklisted from Hollywood after doing The Ruins, because he went out and did a number of softcore gay porn movies, and like, well, you know what, that may have sort of pigeonholed him in a way that a lot of people weren't comfortable with, and he came back.
You got to make a paycheck.
But he was in top form here. It is a great looking movie. It is intense, and it brings back some old favorite actors. And actually, I should. IMDb.
From Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2.
Will Patton, I think.
Yeah.
Not Will Patton.
Also Jenna Malone.
Mark Patton.
Yeah. And Jenna Malone.
Yeah. So, it has a lot of the kinds of things. It's like, what would you do? I mean, they were just they were put into they did it out of, or they were trafficking this stuff to just get some quick money, so that one of them could go to LA and chase his dreams. And it goes horribly wrong when they're told to swallow something that they shouldn't swallow. And at first you think it's like, oh, a busted bag of cocaine. No, this would be worse.
Nope.
This is much worse.
Much worse.
Yep,
much worse. And so, yeah, bugs and body horror, enough said.
Correct.
It was, that was hard for me to leave this one off the list. I got a huge kick out of Swallowed.
It was a good time. All right. So we are at my number 7, which is X. Now I will say, Mike has it as number 6. Does anybody have it higher than 6?
No.
All right, then I
haven't seen it yet. So I'm
talk about it now.
Yeah. Okay, Liz. Okay. You get, since you have it highest amongst the
highest
people
as present person. Yeah. So both Mike and I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. It's written and directed by Ty West. I got to see this at the world premiere at South by Southwest with less than 300 people. And boy, was it nice to see a Ty West horror film back on the big screen after like 8 years. It is about a group of, it's a porn film crew that go out to a farm in Texas to make a porno. And the elderly people who own the farm that they're kind of renting the barn for might not approve of what they're doing out there. And so while shooting The Farmer's Daughters, mayhem ensues. And this is a surprising film that ends up talking a little bit about feminism, age, sexuality, all while having Mia Goth play both the main character on the porn shoot and our elderly protagonist. It has already spawned
really? She did
a
both?
prequel. Yeah, she
Yeah,
didn't know
yeah,
that
she
she
did.
played
No.
Pearl, the old lady.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So she played Pearl, the old lady. It's already spawned a prequel, Pearl's origin story, and it is coming up with a sequel called Maxine, which is based on her younger porn character. So more Ty West, hopefully in the beginning of 2023 with Maxine. And they said they're dying to show us a good time, and that is what they did. And I think that for me, you would think a 5-star movie would be higher. It's 7 on my list because I think at least one of those stars was the excitement of being at South by, being at the premiere, all that, being so. But it's a great film, and it's totally worth seeing. Pearl is not as great, but
I haven't
still
seen
worth seeing.
Pearl yet. It is interesting though. I think Mike bagged on Pearl, and he didn't like Pearl much at all. But there are a lot of I think if you go on to IMDb, I think it's got 6.5 stars, which usually means for a horror movie that's a pretty good showing, right?
That's a big score, yeah.
And but X is like 7 stars on IMDb. I thought X was raunchy, it's grimy, it's to the point. I think it's a terrific homage to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Stylistically, you're going out into a hot Texas night, and visiting on a remote farmstead with people who are kind of sketchy, and it's an homage to old 70s porn, and who doesn't love that, right?
Yep.
Bow, chicka, bow, bow.
Exactly.
Yep,
Who
pretty
ordered
much.
the
That's
extra
the only thing they were missing. I can't believe you didn't know Mia Goth played Pearl. That was the big oh shit moment in the screening during the Q&A when they brought up, and he's like, yeah, and she did great as both. Like when they rolled the credits and it said Mia Goth as Maxine and Pearl, everybody was like, oh my God, like you cannot tell.
No, we had scooted out of the theater when the credits were rolling.
Oh, okay.
Mike's not.
Then you missed the trailer for Pearl.
Yeah,
because they put that at the end, and we got to see that.
Well,
too,
we did see her because she does. She comes back as Pearl.
Yeah,
right.
In the prequel.
In the prequel, yeah. And so, this was. I thought that Ty West really knows how to do a period piece, and he knows his way around grindhouse, and you don't get much more grindhousey than the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So kind of almost the burned in look.
It had major Texas Chainsaw vibes,
and the whole and the big hair and the bell bottoms and stylist. There's never a step wrong with the way he dresses his sets. And in
my review, I said West has always excelled at steeping the viewer in the time frame of his films, and you'll need to shower after this one to wash the 70s off. So it is that 70s sleaze that
and all kinds of
we reference a lot.
All the assorted bodily fluids that you need to wash off after watching a movie like that. It's
a great movie. It's great.
Robert,
I can't wait to see Maxine. We'll see what happens.
And you saw X also, Robert?
I did, yeah. I liked it. It was lower on my list, but it definitely made the top 10. And I thought it was the cinematography in it was top notch. I mean, just the scenes, framing all the scenes and everything was just, he did a really good job of doing that.
Yeah, the watching them sort of walk through the meadow to their cottage.
It's Texas Chainsaw.
Pure Texas Chainsaw. And there's a gas station stop, right?
This one's got an alligator.
Yeah, this one's got an alligator. So this also, to follow up on Toby Hooper, it's got Eaten Alive and Texas Chainsaw, both 70s classics, right? So yeah, I think this was it was a love letter to Toby Hooper, and I'm just glad that Ty West is back in the game because he also the thing that hasn't been mentioned here is how great the screenplay is, and the banter.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
It's very, very, very well written.
Yeah.
Ty West is a virtuoso.
So my number 7 is what do we got here? I think rated higher on Mike's list. I have Nope, and I know it's not on Liz's.
It is definitely nope,
Oh.
nope, not on mine. It is higher on Mike's list, so it
It's
will
higher on
come
mine,
back
too.
around.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay. So then moving on to Robert.
My number 7 might be higher on someone else's list too. It's Barbarian.
Yes.
Higher on mine.
Higher on mine. We're going to go for a
Okay.
while. So
All right, Joseph, number 7.
Okay. My number 7 just started on the festival circuit. It's directed by Adrian Langley and submitted for your approval. My number 7 is Bunker.
Bunker.
Huh.
Bunker.
Aficionados of the classic The Twilight Zone TV series will not want to miss Bunker, which is a tale about a group of World War I American and British soldiers trapped with a German soldier in an abandoned German bunker after a bomb blocks their exit. Filled with paranoia, cosmic horror, and jaw-dropping revelations,
Oh.
this independent chiller serves up some fine performances too. So Bunker is a film that viewers need to go into as cold as possible.
Perfect.
But hopefully my little blurb there garnered some interest from people. Like I said, it's brand new on the festival circuit. So I think folks will get a chance to see it. It's one of the films that we can say is a little film that it definitely punches above its budgetary weight.
What's the name?
Thanks in great part. Go ahead.
I was like, where was it made?
This is, let me double check that it's a U.S. film. Let's see. Yep, it's a U.S. film, but again, it has some British talent in it. I do believe either that or the accents are absolutely fantastic. So, but yeah, a U.S. product, homegrown U.S. product.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. I think because I'm a sucker for war movies and a sucker for cosmic horror, and I think the last one that I had hopes for was Trench 11, which was a World War I stuck in the bunker with the bad guys and a bunch of wormy parasites, but not that good a movie, unfortunately.
This sounds cool.
I want to see the bunker.
Me too.
Well, like I said, Bunker is totally, even the score is Twilight Zone reminiscent. So if you're a fan of that classic TV series, not necessarily either of the remakes, then you should have a lot of fun with this one.
Cool.
Excellent.
All right. One to watch out for.
All right.
I just put it on my list.
Me too.
So Mike's number 6
Okay.
was X.
Was
We
X.
just
We
talked
talked about that.
So Liz,
And my number 6, I don't think is on anybody else's list. I am kind of surprised it's on my list, but it is definitely not my kind of film. But boy, did I have fun watching Terrifier 2 for that one time that I don't have to watch it again.
but we just
Nice.
we just talked about this in
our one and
shot.
done.
Yeah,
I said, oh my God. Okay. So this is written and directed by Damien Leone. I think he also did all the special effects, which were like the makeups. Amazing. It made over $10 million off its $250,000 budget. It was number 1 in like box offices. So I was like, I have got to see this. I saw it streaming. It's on Screambox. It is the grossest, bloodiest 2 hours and 15 minutes of pure torture that you will ever see. It is horror with a big old capital and bold H, maybe like a calligraphy H. It is so bonkers. But man, this film, I think like it was its year. I don't know what was in the water this year, but people went crazy for Terrifier 2. Loved it. It is for the gore hounds. See it one time. Because it's just like, it was like, one of those water cooler things where I was like, I have got to see it. And I think it deserves to be on the list of best ones for this year.
How would you compare it in tone to something like Hatchet, right? Which is extremely gory.
Very similar, not as funny.
Okay. Yeah.
But very similar.
I thought, Terrifier, I had where it's like pulling out all the gory stops. but I also thought it was, I heard it was like, people it's like barfing in this in the cinemas.
I could definitely see someone throwing up watching this movie.
Yep. All right.
And if
But
that's not a recommendation,
if that's not a
I don't know what is.
recommendation.
Well, that's a great segue to my number 6, which is the menu. So I know Liz and I had a conversation about this where Liz parks it more on the thriller side, and
that's my number one movie of the year that is not a horror movie.
Yep.
Whoa.
I believe that this is that because it's a cult. That there is there's some, and it is in a way, because there's all his brainwashed minions of chefs, but sometimes those brainwashed minions are just your hired help, and they just work really, really hard, and that's why they kind of act that way. But when they start killing themselves off for the boss, then you realize.
Spoiler alert!
Yeah.
Don't listen to this before you see the menu.
It is a. This is a whip smart satire, dark satire. It's got a hell of a cast. It's got Ray Fiennes. It's got Anya Taylor-Joy. It's got Nicholas Hoult. It's got John Leguizamo. It shows, there's Anya Taylor-Joy is a character who is one of these things is not like the other. Everybody else is there for a reason, and she is sort of the outsider looking in. And I love the revelation that they actually spring as to why she's there, and you don't want to spoil it because there are some key things about how that becomes important. It is a beautiful film. The food, it's food porn, right?
It's food porn.
They show you these things, but the chef, it's the restaurant's called Hawthorne, and he is making a statement. Now, it's not. If you've seen the trailers, you realize these people are they've been summoned to this restaurant, or they think that they don't realize they've been summoned to the restaurant, but they've been summoned to the restaurant, and they think that it's going to be a treat. And the food that they serve is fabulous. Interestingly, the food is more metaphorical than the things that are going to happen to them. But they will have, it's like, here is the no bread course.
Yeah. It's just the dipping things. Yeah.
We'll give you some olive oil and some harissa and some other things. And then people goes, where's my bread? And then some people go, oh, what a statement. That's amazing. And then there's these bro-ish dudes who are like, hey man, I thought you said it was going to be bread with this. I want some bread. No. And then they get hand slapped, and then once all of a sudden the reality they get revealed as to, hey, what's this picture of me doing on this piece of food? Then they realize something is up, and then it's like, it's a trap. And it's great, and it is intense. It is funny when they reveal the names of the dishes. As the movie goes on, they keep on bringing out the courses. Even as the people start getting threatened and killed off, you start getting, the names of the dishes, and they can be hysterical. I mean, it's just, it is I saw it on a free showing in a packed house, and the in a 300 person thing at Lloyd Cinemas, and everybody was just busting up.
Yeah, our group was all laughing. It was great. I loved it, but I do not count it as a horror movie personally.
Right. I mean, and in some ways, it's an Agatha Christie murder mystery kind of a thing, but it is a death cult, straight up death cult.
Ish.
Well. Without spoiling the ending, it's a death cult. and
I don't know how many of the kitchen staff knew all of everything.
Although they kind of were in. It's like yes, chef. And he would clap. Yeah. Right. And it's like,
but that's just
that. But that could also be. Yeah. That also is it's an indictment on the culinary industry, on the way that they treat the sous chefs and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot of fun. I fully understand this falls into Joseph's kind of category of horror or not. It's there. It probably could have gotten higher if not for that.
This is your Blue Velvet?
Yes. I think it's more horror than Blue Velvet.
All right. Well,
Robert.
Good. This sounds really right up my alley, so I'm looking forward to seeing this.
It's awesome.
Robert's number 6.
Okay, I have a tie actually for number 6, since we're allowed to have ties this year.
Okay.
But in this case, they're kind of similar. They're both folk horror.
Oh.
So one of them is Moloch.
Okay.
written and directed
Haven't
by
seen it yet.
Nico van den Brink
I
from
saw
the
that.
Netherlands.
Mhm.
And the other one is You Are Not My Mother, written and directed by
Ah.
Kate Dolan.
Oh.
That's on my list. I still have not seen that one. All right, good.
And they're
That
both
was on my last year list, I think, because of festivals.
Yeah, you saw because that one, You Are Not My Mother, I think that came out almost 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It made a showing at a festival, and then it didn't do anything until this year. It finally came out for the rest of us.
Okay.
And Moloch was just a recent. It
Right.
just came out recently.
That's a Shudder original, I think.
Yeah. So
I think
Well,
that might be right. I think Mike
yeah.
really liked it too.
Yeah.
could you give us a synopsis on Moloch?
Moloch is a let me go to tape.
Go to the tapes.
It's a gal that lives on the edge of a bog in the Netherlands, and her family gets attacked by a stranger one night, and so she goes to she starts sort of an investigation on her own to try and figure out why this stranger came after her, and in so doing, she uncovers a very long-held family secret, almost community secret, that had now become a prime problem for her. It's almost like a like in Satan's Slaves. It was that whole
Mhm.
Sins of Our Fathers.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's very similar. So
Okay.
they're
like a curse handed down through the family.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. That's what it kind of. So it's a very mysterious. They're doing the investigation. They're trying to figure out what's going on. They're digging up dead bodies at the bog. It's just this whole big thing, and there's like cult feel to it, and the director, the writer director, does a really good job with making everything feel just this impending doom, this dread, as it just builds through the movie. Yeah, and really anything you shoot at the bog, it's got to be kind of scary anyway.
Yep. Bog horror.
Scary bog
horror.
What's the bog horror from Belgium? What was that? Help me out here, Liz.
Oh, I don't remember.
Belgian
bog horror.
Yeah, it was.
That's the name of my band.
They go crawling.
It's our genre of music. It's Belgian bog horror.
Calvaire.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Where they go, he goes running through a foggy Belgian bog.
That is true.
Fleeing after being.
That's not the part I remember from that movie, though.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think Moloch is still first page on Shudder. Recent releases. So for those of you listening here, that's going to be an easy. And we trust that everybody listening to our podcast is actually subscribing to Shudder. Not one of our sponsors, but we definitely support what they do because they deliver all the festival films that we see in streaming for you guys. That seems definitely what's going on, and so it's on Shudder. And You Are Not My Mother is.
Where can I see that? Is it available now?
I think it's actually on Hulu.
Oh, all right. I'm gonna look.
Yeah. And it's
yes,
it's Irish.
Nice.
It's,
Okay.
It's an Irish folk horror, sort of with the fairy folk and the stealing of the babies, and that whole.
I love a change.
Yes,
that is the changelings.
Yeah, that's a very Irish thing.
It is.
Oh yeah.
It's like baby stealing must have been a big thing in Ireland. there are a ton of those myths and movies about
That's true.
baby stealing imps and brownies and stuff. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being replaced by exactly.
I think that was an excuse where it's like, that kid doesn't look like my kid. It's like, it looks like the neighbor. It's like, wait a minute. No, it was a
milkman.
It was a brownie that did it. I swear, it was a leprechaun. It's like
I blame the bog.
It's like, are you sure you weren't sleeping with a neighbor? So
I blame the bog.
Or just misbehaving kids. That might have been an easy excuse or something.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
the root of all horror is actually fairy tales. So.
Oh yeah,
true.
yeah.
Yeah.
Joseph, what's your number 6?
My number 6 is something I saw at Sundance, and I believe it was on Hulu after, but please feel free to correct me because I don't know the services so well on your side of the world. Well, my side too, just not where I'm currently located. But anyway, here we go. Number 6 is Fresh.
Oh,
Anybody else?
it is on Hulu. This was Eric. Remember when I said I had a 5-star review that dropped off the list?
Yep.
This is the film. Yeah.
Okay, I was expecting this to be
I
on the
loved
list.
it.
Yeah,
I forgot about it.
I
That's the curse of the January release.
It is now on
Yeah,
Hulu.
it's
Yeah,
true.
that's absolutely right, Liz. So for my notes for Fresh, I have, you'll come for the razor-sharp social satire on current sexual politics in the world of online dating and beyond, but you'll stay for the cringe-inducing weirdness and dead serious horror in this tale of a date gone horribly wrong. Or it may be the other way around for you. Either case is a winner.
Sebastian Stan, right? Plays.
Yeah, and Daisy Edgar Jones, I believe, is her name. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad
great
you're filling
film.
those in for me. I didn't make those notes. Yeah,
Yes.
it's a lot of fun.
That was on as I was trying to binge my way to the finish line here. Fresh was the next one on my list, and I just couldn't stay up late.
Yeah, I
late
didn't
enough.
get to it either.
All right, I need you to see it, Robert,
Your
because I
press
know
is
A
my
Wounded
fault.
Fawn is going to come up on your list, and I want to know if it was filmed in the same house as Fresh.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Ah,
I'll have to check it out.
okay, so back to the top of the list,
Great one.
Mike.
Mike's number 5 is a TV series. Mike's number 5 is Archive 81, which was created by Rebecca Soenshine. It's based off a podcast, and it says, while it's not rare for great TV to be produced in the golden age of TV, it is rare for a TV show to balance complex emotional interpersonal dynamics and simultaneously deliver legitimate scares. Archive 81 was produced by the James Wan and is not traditionally formulaic TV show in the same vein as The Jeffersons, The Love Boat, or ER. Nor is it cram-packed with a gaggle of too pretty and wildly unbelievable Hollywood upstarts. Archive 81 is the best piece of horror that's ever dropped on Netflix. Mike words, not Liz's.
Whoa.
And rest assured, we'll be talking about this one as the best things of 2022 will offer us. Yes, you heard that right. The 8-part series based on the podcast is a fascinating mixture of things you've seen before, reconfigured into a tale that's never been quite told. There's elements of last year's broadcast signal intrusion, a dash or two of Lost, hints at the wonderful Shudder podcast Video Palace, drippings of Panos Cosmatos Freak Out Beyond the Black Rainbow,
Whoa.
and maybe even a nod or two to Videodrome.
Wow, that's
So that is Mike's review of Archive 81. Sadly for Mike and other fans, this did not get renewed for a second season. So you can see the first season only on Netflix.
sounds super thinky. I can.
It is thinky. I don't
recommend
think I finished it.
I liked it. I really enjoyed it.
I listened to the podcast, but I haven't started the series yet.
Okay. I think the podcast goes longer than the series. So maybe you can catch that. All right. So that was Mike's. My number 5 is still on the festival circuit, and we will have up our lost interview with the cast and crew because I have Cult Hero, which is directed by JT Cook. I caught it at Fantasia. And this is about the reality show cult buster Dale Domazar, who spends his days as a washed up PI living in a trailer park. And one day he gets a call from the neighborhood Karen, quote unquote, Callie Jones, played by Liv Collins, who needs help extracting her husband Brad from a men's wellness retreat that is a front for a cult led by Master Jagori, played by Tony Burgess. It is ridiculous, very, very silly and hilarious. And in my review, I said, where else can you get cults, real estate, wellness, deviled eggs, and dismemberment all in one film? So while this is still on the festival circuit, I will keep you posted on where to find it because it is hilarious, fun, stupid, STOOP, but just like up my alley. I love these kind of very silly movies. And
stupid. Yeah, that's
stupid.
The good,
Boy,
that's
is
the
it
good
creative.
Stupid,
Yeah.
I agree, Liz, with everything you said. I
Awesome.
caught that one as well, and it's a fun time for sure.
Oh, it's so fun. And the JT Cook who made it is an absolute blast. And I hope more great things come in his future. And when this gets released, that it has a big release. And we will put up. I interviewed them at Fantasia, the Lost interview, because we forgot to put it up. So it will coming soon.
Right.
But still on the circuit, so it's not too late to put it up. That's for sure.
That is for sure. It's such a fun movie. So hopefully it'll hit some more of the festivals now that it's been in Canada. Fantasia is a huge festival, so I'd like to see it hit, Overlook and South by and things like that. So I think we'll find an audience there.
All right.
All right, Eric, your number 5.
My number 5 is, and it might be on Joseph's, but let's see. I have The Cursed.
Oh, that was such a hard one to keep off, Eric. That's in my honorable mention list for sure. And it should have been in the top 10, but it was so difficult this year.
Yeah. No, The Cursed, it's the lycanthrope movie that isn't a lycanthrope movie. But it is, I think any good werewolf movie is tied to a curse, right? That it's whether you're bitten or whether there's some sort of someone done wrong and in this case, this is 19th century England, and there's some Romani, aka we're not supposed to say gypsies, but the Romani, who are sort of living on a private estate grounds, and the local manor lord rounds up a bunch of people to go roust them up and remove them, and they do it violently. The local British constabularies go down there, and they wipe out the whole band of wandering Romani, and in the dying breath, the matriarch of the clan curses the landholder, and it's kind of less straight up werewolfy, but they become some sort of feral, sort of monstrous beasts, and it was really moody, really intense, and it's it borrows it werewolf movies sometimes play third, fourth, fifth fiddle here, right? I mean, they're not. When they're great, you get American Werewolf in London, you get The Howling, but the great werewolf movies are few and far between. But this takes the ideas of it and spins it in a way that you haven't seen it before, and the storytelling and watching how the townsfolk sort of react to it. It really was. It was tremendously acted, and it's sweeping. It's almost like a British period piece of Wuthering Heights kind of a thing. It's like on the moors, full of fog, and in the way that you kind of want these lycanthrope films to be, and you realize, once the guilt of the man who did these horrible things to these people, once he understands what's happened, he tries futilely to try and ward this off. It's a great production. I really found myself getting really swept up into it. It's a little bit of a slow burner, but it comes in. When it wants to punch, it punches hard. I think for fans, John Foley, our one of our Facebook friends. Really, he's my go-to guy when it comes to werewolves, and he loved it. And I think Joseph was the first one who spotted it for me, and I sort of latched on and was like, yeah, this really works. It's don't I think they're you should know better to mess with old Romani women, right? They have.
That's true, right?
That's true.
Like Drag Me to Hell didn't teach you.
That's a trope now.
The cursed will shy you away from doing wrong. Yeah, and don't crucify them. That'll come back to get you. So
Every time.
yep.
Don't mess with old Romani women.
Yep.
Yeah, and don't
Stay out of the
take,
bogs.
Lyft and other car
Yeah.
services like that.
yeah.
Don't rent an Airbnb.
Don't rent Airbnb.
Mhm,
Don't
mhm.
be an annoying social influence.
Yeah.
Right. Lessons
Anyway.
from 2022. Okay,
Yeah.
Robert. So where are you at with number 5?
My number 5 is Nope.
Okay, where is Mike higher on? I think Mike is one higher.
has this
And
as
I think he has it in
his
number 4.
Number 4. So I say we go.
Okay. Robert, why don't you go ahead and lead off?
Can I?
Oh.
Well, can I butt in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Please.
Because I'm running low on time. It's my annual cutting it short
Yeah.
time. So, should I run through my top 5 and then
Yes.
you can hit with
Yes.
Mike's number 4? Okay.
Please
Let's
do.
do it.
All right. So I'll go through here, and if there's anything that's later, just let me know. But let me see. Oh, by the way, quick note. So I sent a message to you all last night that I was rounding out my list, and I had to have 11 because I couldn't cut something. And I just now looked, and I didn't realize this until this moment. I have 2 at number 6. I misnumbered. So actually I have a top 12 by
So
accident.
you and
That's all
Robert
right.
both.
Not by design.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I'm not the only one. So
Yeah.
here we go. I mentioned my number 6, Fresh, and actually the other one I had at 6 previously was Mandrake. Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
And, I'll just go quickly through here. Anybody have Mandrake?
Nope.
No.
I believe it's on Shudder now.
It is.
Okay.
That's a weird one.
Okay. Oh, okay, good. So yeah, I saw this for a fest, but this is on Shudder now. This Irish chiller sees a parole officer taking charge of a case nobody else wants to touch. A woman just released from prison who the townsfolk believe to be a witch. When 2 children go missing soon after her release, well, that would be telling. And you can read my review on the Scariest Things, and I chose this representative sentence. Mandrake is loaded with tension and shocking surprises, and director Lynn Davison wrings every possible bit of suspense from it, giving the film a brooding, dread-filled atmosphere. Okay.
I did
Number
see that
5.
one. Good choice. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. 5, Hatching. Did anybody have it higher?
No. But
Mm-mm.
this was a fun
Shame
one.
on all of you.
Yeah.
This wicked warped take on modern family drama and social media influencers. Pitch perfect performances, amazing creature and body horror effects, and no small amount of creepiness. The Finnish-Swedish co-production is a sort of film that viewers, again, need to go into as cold as possible. Just know that it involves a young gymnast trying to please her vlogging mother, who wants to keep up the online idea of having the ideal family. As you can guess, that doesn't go well for them. This is an IFC midnight release, as is my number 4, The Innocents. Anybody else?
Okay.
No, but this
Yeah,
is
that
a
was
good one.
Liz. Yeah, I remember
Double
Liz really
shame.
liked
Yeah.
I
this
haven't
one,
caught that
Yeah.
one yet. Mhm.
Okay. I'll be really quick about this one. Writer-director Eskil Vioit, and I hope that's correct, Vote maybe. It's a Norwegian film, and it's about naughty children, but it's not the kind of naughty children you might expect. And the performances that this director gets from these kids is reason enough to highly recommend this film. It's amazing.
Yes.
But the story is also very interesting, and I don't want to give too much away, but I will say that it does involve the supernatural.
Mhm.
And yeah, once again, these kids are absolutely superb in their performances.
And it's on
I don't want to
Shudder
give anything more
see.
away than that. Oh, thank you,
Yep.
Liz. That's great.
It's on Shudder.
So
Yep.
put that one high on your list.
Yes.
Number 3. I think this might be higher for somebody, but I'm going to save this for the rest of you to discuss because it deserves a wider discussion. Speak No Evil.
It's higher on my
Oh.
list.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay.
So my number 3, Speak No Evil. I'll just read my 2 sentences here.
Yes,
Director
please.
Christian Cough Drop, Speak No Evil, Gestern, I think, from Denmark and the Netherlands, may be the feel-bad movie of 2022 in a year with several strong contenders.
Yes.
One of which Eric hit on earlier. The film examines social niceties while experimenting with the ideas of what horror is before delivering an absolutely harrowing third act that could well leave you speechless.
Nice.
Yeah. My number 2, I don't think it's higher on anybody else's list, but once you see it, I'll bet this will be on some 2023 lists. Either list, if you know what I'm saying, because it's a very divisive movie.
Okay.
Skinamarink.
Ah, yes. Mike has seen it and just said real arty.
Yeah, it is. Skinamarink. I've been championing this one since I saw it at Fantasia. By the way, my top 5s are all 5 stars, and 6 through 11 or 12 or whatever are 4 stars. So this is 5 stars, and it's coming. It's getting a wide release, I believe, next month. It could be this month, so I don't want to blow that for people. Keep an eye out for it. It's going to get a theatrical release, I understand, and then I believe Shudder is going to get it in later in 2023. Okay. Let's see. I have a Scariest Things review up, so I'm going to direct everybody to that, both for the sake of time and because this is not an easy one to synopsize. But I'll just say quickly that director and writer is Kyle Edward Ball's Canadian film. It is artistic and it's incredibly unique. And I think it was absolutely hypnotic, and it's a very eerie watch. So the way that it affected me, and I think other people too, is that it really genuinely brings you back to being a child and having these fears of the dark and fears of things that we as adults didn't have the vocabulary for and didn't have the understanding of when you were a kid. And as a film, also, you never know what's going to happen next. And if you look away from the screen, even for a second, you might miss something because so much is going on, even though, how can I say this? You don't have a full view of what's happening at all times. All right. So if you love tapping into your childhood fears and that primal fear of the dark that we all have, please give Skinamarink a shot. You're either going to love it or have other issues with it. So that brings me to number 1, Evil Eye, which is new on the festival circuit, but I'm absolutely sure this will get a wide release. It's from one of my favorite directors, Isaac Esban. If anybody saw The Similars a few years ago, okay, you're familiar with Isaac's work, but he also has several other films, but they're usually rooted in his love of the Twilight Zone and science fiction and warping time and things like this. This is his first straight up horror film, and it's a dark fairy tale. And I said that it's, by the way, it's a Mexican film, rich in atmosphere, visually stunning, and loaded with fine performances and terrific set design. Evil Eye is about a teen girl's suspicions that her grandmother may be a witch. Now, of course, we've seen several films like that. And of course, it is, kind of a fairy tale-ish setup as well. But what happens in this film is just masterfully crafted and wondrous to behold. So keep an eye out for Evil Eye, which I think will be on a lot of 2023 best lists after it gets its wide release.
And
there you go.
Be warned
Thanks for listening to my little spiel of my top 5 there.
There is an Evil Eye that came out in 2020, which you don't want to confuse it with.
All right. I do need to run. I need to go educate some
Go teach some kids
in English. So thanks again, everybody. As always, I have a blast talking with you guys. So I can't wait to listen to the rest of this episode after it drops. Thanks a lot, everybody.
All right.
Thanks, Joseph.
Thank you, Joseph.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. I can find the X button. Okay. Yes.
So yeah, and as a reminder to our audience here, there is actually an Evil Eye that was produced in 2020, which is actually about an Indian immigration tale of. There's an Indian tradition of an Evil Eye. It's an okay horror movie. So don't get that confused with the one that the 2022 Mexican version that Joseph was just talking about.
I saw the similars when that came out, and it was totally Twilight Zone-y, really weird and really good. It was a good one.
Yeah. So looking forward to that one. All right. So
Yeah,
now
me too.
now we're winding our way back to where are we? Are we on our number 4s now? Back at
Number
Mike's?
4.
So
And Mike's number 4 is Nope.
Robert, what is Nope higher on your list?
No, my Nope was number 5 on my list.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll read because Nope was number 6 on my list. So
I'd say we jump in.
Yep. So
Yeah.
Mike's description is this is the ultimate conceit in a UFO film. Let me start again. The ultimate conceit in a UFO film is the UFO itself. Do you show it? Do you obscure it? Do you slowly tease it out through the course of the film? No matter your preference, the UFO and the related space aliens have got to be exemplary. Crappy UFO, and you've got yourself a crappy film. A great UFO, well, you're into the realm of Jordan Peele. Don't let anyone tell you differently, like Liz.
Except for Liz.
But Nope is a masterful cinematic undertaking that's been undertaken by today's most insightful director, who also happens to be at the top of his game. It's rare to see a film like Nope, one that's operating on all cylinders and delivers in every possible category. And
Wow.
yeah, what I would add to that is I think the telltale signs for me with a Jordan Peele movie is the script. And you know, when I'm looking back at it, it's the humor that Peele brings in, and Keke Palmer and her cool hip way of, you know, the brother sister combination, believable brother sister combination, with Daniel Kaluuya playing the stoic brother and Keke Palmer playing the rambunctious little sister. And they're ranchers, and the settings. It was just the orchestration of all these pieces, so imaginative. There's Mike suggested, but there's a bit of a hidden ball trick here, right? Where you think you're going to get one thing, and he completely surprises you as to what the nature of this UFO is. And it comes as a huge and dramatic surprise when you look at it and you go, what? There are some. I think it should be said that there are. He may be getting a little bit too clever. And Peele has this habit. You saw it with Us, where he's got a side story involving the Stephen Yeun character.
That was the only part of the movie I liked.
Yeah, with the
Gordy and
Gordy, the
anytime
monkey,
Stephen Young. Everything else,
yeah.
2-star movie for me at best.
I had it. I think both Mike and I had it 4.5. I loved the
Nope.
I loved the look, but Liz also didn't. You didn't like Us either.
Oh no, I think Jordan Peele is a little bit of a Emperor's New Clothes.
Okay. I remember my recollections of being in the theater was just being entertained and impressed at how original for me this whole thing felt. And when you had even the guy, the Best Buy guy, you know, who
Stephen Perea or
who
Brandon Perea,
who offers up his help, as you know, it's like being a bit
Angel.
also, he was great, but like there were certain moments where the whole namesake of the film, where Daniel Kaluuya is looking out his window, peeks out, looks back in, nope. Nope. It was like that was the just the reactions of that. I loved the interplay of all that dialogue and stuff like that. So yeah,
and I liked how a lot of what they did was very believable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, up to a point, but just like the use of those car dealership flappy men things, to see where the
Right.
where the UFO was going to be, and
the straw men.
yeah.
Or the setting up of the camcorder. 'Cause that's the other thing is anything cryptid. It's like I got to get this on film.
Right.
I got to and this thing, it's unlike when you're expecting it to be little green men. Sure, yeah, catch that on film. This thing's not going to make any sense on film. Right, and maybe to some degree
It
that might have been
didn't.
something. So that, and for Liz, that was like what this thing was a bit a bridge too far. But
I
Robert,
think
you
he
and I
made two separate movies. They should not have gone together, and they didn't fit together.
I think it was a little bit long. I don't think it needed to be as long as it was, which is kind of a problem for a lot of movies today.
Yeah, and particularly for people who are auteurs. I mean, it's like, hey, I may go see Avatar sometime soon. Here, that's a 3-hour movie.
Yeah, exactly.
And everybody's going, it's a jaw dropper. It's like, it better be if it's 3 hours. But I know Liz and Mike are short movie fans, which is remarkable. For this was a long movie, and Mike was totally down for it. So
I don't know. I think that he's getting maybe too quote unquote clever. He's trying to do too much. We are all like lauding him when
I like his clever.
Is it really that good? I don't. I don't think it's clever. I think it's a little bit of BS.
I think I liked it more, like Eric was saying, for the banter between the siblings and the Best Buy guy, and just that all that dialogue was
there's
wonderful.
a little bit of Quentin Tarantino in his in the stylization of how they of the dialogue, and I love that stuff. And
the TMZ guy.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that Stephen Yeun, the most improbable, what was it, Apollo? What was his? Oh, I'm trying to forget what the name of his character, but for a cowboy amusement park owner, it's like you got this Korean guy. That's like that's kind of cool, and I loved his suit. So. Anyway, so that's Mike's 4, my 6, and Robert's 5. Liz, what is your number 4?
My number 4 is Barbarian.
Aha, keep going.
And we all have it on our list.
We're gonna keep going on Barbarian.
Okay, all right.
We are okay.
Yes.
Wow.
So my number 4 is The Black Phone.
Hey, that's my number 4.
That's higher on Mike's list, but he's not here.
Yeah,
so we can either say it is Mike's number 1 film of the year.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay, well, do we want to wait until we get around to the number 1s? We can wait until we get to the number 1s.
All right.
Okay.
Nah, okay, no, actually, let's
talk about it. Talk about it. Mike's not here. He gave it 5 out of 5, and jump scares. He said, and we sat next to him. He jumped.
It was so. I mean, you haven't lived until you've been next to Mike Campbell during a good jump scare.
Yeah,
he does full body reflex
out of the chair,
curl into a ball, jump scare, and
awesome.
It makes me and Liz giggle.
Yeah, I have this as an honorable mention. I really, really liked it.
I think this. My thoughts are that top-notch child acting.
Yeah.
Really, this thing could have fallen apart if the kids weren't good. This thing could have been awful if the kids weren't good. I just saw a movie called Beast with Idris Elba where the kids weren't good, and it really screwed with the movie.
That's on my other list.
Yeah. That movie I was really looking forward to that one, but yeah, we won't talk about that one because the Black Phone, it's it's a kidnapper with Ethan Hawke and a new scary mask introduction, which is awesome to get a new scary mask.
Are amazing.
And he is frightening. And in more of a Buffalo Bill kind of a way.
Right. That is a character that I want a prequel movie to the Black Phone. I want to get inside this guy's head. Like,
learn
I
more
want to know more about him.
Yeah, for sure.
And, I think the backstories of all the kids that you get to see, and he's not just kidnapping the weaklings. He's kidnapping the most badass kids in town almost.
Which this town is full of badass kids.
Right.
Who are, like,
It's like,
beating each
and they
other
just
up.
they just like these kids will rumble, and they're not afraid of anything. And I think that is part of the story is that the boy who is actually trapped in the house for the bulk of the movie is tapping into the resources of those who perished before him in the form of ghost kids.
Right.
And
Through
you get
the phone.
yeah,
The
through the
black
back
phone.
phone.
The black phone.
And
Yeah.
and you gotta love the little sister who is so
Ugh.
sometimes plucky kids can drive you crazy. It's like they're too much. But she was. I hope she gets an Oscar nomination for supporting actress.
She should.
Because the scene where she's getting belt whipped by her dad, and her crying was like it was almost too much. It was like, wow. It's like, have you actually experienced horror like this, kid? Because it sounds like it. That's rough. And that wasn't even the main bad guy. That was the other.
Right.
That was the secondary bad guy of the bad dad. So loaded with great characters, and great pacing. I actually would say that probably one of the closest. I think it reminds me a lot of Silence of the Lambs.
But with kids.
Oh, kids. I mean, yeah, but it really is. It's a
a
serial
family movie.
killer. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, bring the whole family. If you
No,
want-
don't.
Yeah, but this is Joe Hill, right?
Yeah.
Short story by Joe
His
Hill.
short story directed by Scott Derrickson
Yeah.
from Sinister.
Right, and then taking a break from his Marvel movie duties.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah. Liz, remember when we saw it in the theater and we walked out and we went, see, when Universal brings out,
Yeah.
when we had just been seeing a bunch of kind of indie, low budget films, and then we saw The Black Phone, and you go, whew,
Wow. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
a difference. What a difference millions of dollars can make.
right?
Yeah,
you get,
for sure.
You get an Ethan Hawke, you get a Scott
Yeah.
Derrickson, you get a budget, you get to hire, the better actors. I mean, if done right. I mean, we've seen.
Yeah.
I mean, there will be movies on our stinker list
Mm-hmm.
where it's like you squandered that money.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah, because there are times where it's like, man, where'd that money go?
Yeah. I'd love a Black Phone prequel, something digging into Ethan Hawke's character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the fact that the brother was upstairs too
Mm-hmm.
and didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you get the reveal of the houses and you're like, wait, what? Like,
And
Yeah,
the
yeah.
one guy's like he's got the strings trying to figure out where all this stuff is
Yeah,
happening.
yeah.
It's like
Oh,
it's in your
love that.
fucking house.
yeah. It's down in the basement.
It's downstairs.
Oh, God.
Damn it.
Oh, man. That was a good
great.
So, yeah, I like this revived my hope in Hollywood production to come out. It's like we can do something more than Halloween Ends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? We are capable of doing new ideas and things that are not tied to other franchises, and let's do more of that, please. So
Yes,
Oh, and that was
please.
kind of the same thing with Nope, wasn't it?
yeah. I mean, I think the
Nope.
Liz carrying that cross around the courtyard.
I hated it. Ugh. I liked the Gordy stuff. I would have watched a whole movie about the ape tearing people apart. But the rest of it, I didn't want to watch. Okay. I'll get off. No.
Okay, so then
Not on my worst list, though.
So that was where are we now? That was Robert's number 4.
That was 4. Yeah, that
Okay,
was.
and so-
Mike's number 1.
So
Do we do Liz's 4?
My 4 is Barbarian. So where is Barbarian? Is anybody at number 3?
I
it
know
was-
my Barbarian
Mine was
still to
number
come.
7. Oh,
No,
that's right.
mine.
Okay.
I've got Barbarian up higher.
All right.
Okay.
My
So-
number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Are we at my number 3 then?
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Is Resurrection.
Really?
Yes.
Really? That was wow. I did not.
Yes.
Okay, now I'm okay.
I rewatched it.
Here's my okay.
Okay.
My turn to disagree with you, but I will give you the
Yes.
lead here.
So Resurrection is directed by Andrew Siemens. We saw it at Overlook. It stars Rebecca Hall and Tim Roth.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And this is a weird movie. So Rebecca Hall plays Margaret. She's like a corporate exec. She's very overprotective of her daughter, which we're not really sure why. She goes to a conference, and in the back of the room is Tim Roth, and she freaks out. He plays a guy named David who is from her past, and we realize that their relationship is based on him asking her to do very weird things like go to the park and kneel down for 8 hours and don't move. There's a very weird, abusive, destructive relationship. They have also like lost a baby in the past until he says, well, no, we haven't. It's right here inside my belly. And you're like, what? And it just goes off the rails and has an ending that when I first saw it was like, oh, I love everything except for the ending. But on another viewing, I'm okay with it. And Rebecca Hall, she is the Toni Collette of this year. If she does not get some sort of award, she should have gotten something from the Night House. She is so good that the movie for her, like one monologue alone, that is like a 10-minute monologue.
When she's talking to her assistant.
Yeah, to her assistant like, I just wanted to order you a car or whatever she was like in there doing. Oh man. It's one of those movies that I had to see it again. It stuck with me. It is so weird. I'm like, what? And the performances are so good. It has to be in my top.
I couldn't latch on to it. I emotionally couldn't get attached to it.
I couldn't really either. Although the performances, especially her performance, was stellar. It was amazing.
Absolutely lights out. But I like her relationship with her kid. It was just, it's like, you're not trying any different. You're just trying the same thing, but harder. Right. And it's like, you're not, this
shoots her in the foot eventually.
Yeah. This isn't working. And then her relationship with her co-worker who loves her, who's got a hot,
she's definitely very effed in the head. She's gone through a lot of trauma. With Tim Roth has really messed her up, and it messes up every other relationship she has.
And I think that they went, a tighter edit. I would have liked them to edit out a few of the scenes that they kind of go back to the well. And it's like, you made your point, and you made your point again. I don't think you need. I think let's for the first time, like, I'm the one who's saying shorten the movie up.
Fair. It's not.
I think that they could have.
It's the same length as a Black Phone. Actually, it's an hour and 40 minutes or so.
Yeah, I think they
could. I could trim off at least 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think because you could have gotten to the point where, because you can understand how the weirdness factor and why she's doing what she's doing, but he asks her to do a lot. I think he shows a lot of the routines that she makes that she has to do, and you're kind of going, either fight it or give up. I was getting really frustrated with that, but I think that was part of the point, was what kind of the kind of mental anguish and torture that she was put through. But for me, it was a mental anguish and torture for me, having to go, come on, do something, God damn it!
Fair.
You feel helpless because you want her to. It's like, either give up and succumb to this guy or fight back and take control. And she was walking this weird middle ground, and I get it. I mean, and that's part of the.
Until the end.
The pressure, right. So
right.
So I had it. I didn't hate the movie. I had it as I had it as a 3 after I first watched it, because of the acting performances, but this is another one where, like Deadstream, I'm slightly in the minority. I think that Resurrection right now has got a pretty good Metascore going for it.
It's weird, and you can make up your mind by seeing it on Shudder.
There you go. Okay.
And before I did my number 3, I forgot to do Mike's. I don't think it's on anybody else's list, because it is Satan Slaves 2.
Oh.
Communion.
Oh.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead and read through.
So I will read Mike's little diatribe. Okay, he gives us 4.5 out of 5, directed by Joko Anwar.
Yay.
And if 2022 has you a little jaundiced with reboots, sequels, prequels, and reimagining, your feelings are not unwarranted. Let's face it, Halloween Ends was confusing and largely devoid of Michael Myers. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre was silly and uncooked. Hellraiser
Oh,
was
that's
pretty
right.
to look at, but became an unnecessary and boring reboot.
I like.
Have no fear.
Hellraiser.
The Indonesians are here.
Okay, that part I could agree with. Have no fear. The
Well,
Indonesians are here.
Hollywood trundled around looking to reboot the perfect horror franchise. The Indonesian horror community, and in particular, the brilliant Joko Anwar, yes, was developing the near perfect horror sequel, Satan's Slaves Communion. In 2017, Anwar brought us another extraordinary film in the first installment of Satan's Slaves, ironically, a remake of a 1980s version of the story. So, largely following the same family from the first film Satan's Slaves Communion takes place several years later in the mid 1980s, where Rini, played by Tara Basro, and her brothers Bondi, Nassar Anuz, and Tony, Endi Arfan, and her father have managed to escape the wild and terrifying satanic fertility cult and have found a quiet prison-like concrete tenement apartment. So if that's your refuse, I feel like you're not in a safe place. But Satan's Slaves Part 2 commence. I have not watched this one yet. I had really wanted to get it on my list, but have not. So I'm going to take Mike's word that it's very good, and I'm going to watch it.
I watched it, but it didn't make my list.
Okay. It's on Shudder.
It was a little too long for me.
That's fair, because I think it's over 2 hours.
I loved the first Satan's Slaves.
I did too.
It was one of my favorite films of that year. So
I don't remember it enough. Do I need to watch it again before I watch Satan's Slaves Part 2?
I would.
Probably.
I think,
it would help, I think.
Yeah.
I'll have
because they really just jump right into it with the same characters, and they do make some references back to the other one. So
okay. All right. Okay, Eric, you're number 3.
My number 3 is Prey.
Hey, that's my number 3.
Hey,
Ty.
Okay. So, do you want to do your lead in? What or?
Oh no, go ahead.
Okay.
I don't
right,
really have a lead in.
That's like all right. I have. So I wrote this up. I gave it 4.5. I've even thought about making this a 5-star. But Prey is a remarkable refresh of the old Predator franchise, and for my money, this is the best action horror movie since The Descent, the best horror western since Ravenous, and could arguably be better than the original Predator. This movie has the best protagonist yet in this franchise, including Dutch Schwarzenegger, and the monster is better than ever. The monster is a transportive adventure, and who would have thought that a previously moribund series could find such fresh legs? Prequels can be tricky things. By the time a prequel gets released, the general premise of the franchise is so ingrained that in order to generate a new perspective, the filmmakers feel like they have to dial back. The surprises are perceived to have already been played out. Now, in this case, I've often referred to my rule number 1, but my rule number 2 is it's a horror movie if there is a large gulf between the power of the antagonist or the monster and the protagonists or the heroes. And in Predator, Schwarzenegger versus the Predator is close to a 1-to-1 matchup, right? Or close to it. In this case, it's a Cherokee huntress with a bow and arrow versus an alien predator with high-tech weaponry and invisibility cloak who can take out an entire cadre of French trappers and all of their weaponry and stuff. And she is dynamite. She is much fun.
It's a good
Amber
movie.
Midthunder.
Yeah.
Yeah, she knocked it out of the park in that one for sure.
Yeah. And, I'd seen another movie earlier in the year, which was the opposite end of the budget spectrum of Prey, which was Slashback, which was a horror movie about a group of Inuit girls in the Arctic Circle who run into Martians disguised as in polar bear skins, essentially. Kind of wacky. Huh. And they were, it was one of those things where after I wrote the review of the movie, and I had it, and it's sort of framed by the fact that these are girls who grew up in Nunavik, not aspiring to be actresses, and they just acted in a movie. And it's like, congratulations, girls, you're movie stars now. Right. And, but it was really refreshing seeing that point of view. You go to Prey and you hire a bunch of indigenous North American, Canadian, and American tribes, but essentially these are I think they're Comanches or portrayed as Comanches in the the 17th centuries, like late 1600s. The technology gulf between Monster and these and the entire tribe is it's
It's like rocks and sticks.
Yeah, it is. And she and then people was like, well, you can't do that. This is what's the Mary Sue? No, it's not Mary Sue. Arnold Schwarzenegger is a normal human, or a human, not a normal human, but he beats them essentially with punji sticks and mud, right? And it's like, okay, if you're willing to buy this premise, seeing her use similar tactics but without 300 pounds of muscle, it's like I was really down for this. I thought it was one of the things that reminded me how much I love a good space monster, and and seeing because it actually it gets to show off and just butcher a whole bunch of folks too. Yeah, I don't know. I've spoken a bit about this. Robert, what's your what?
I went into it not knowing what to expect, especially because it came from Hulu. I think it was the first. I think they've had a couple now, but this was the first one I'd seen that was Hulu original or whatever.
Yeah, an exclusive.
So I had no idea what it was going to be, and it was amazing. It was just the production values and the cinematography, the countryside that they're fighting in, and that they brought the monster back to his glory days.
Yeah, and you know, if you're going to do a Western, you'd better be able to do good wide shots. You know, great wide shots. If you're going to have a bear in the movie, that better be a good bear. So, so that was, again.
And then just all the color, all the other characters that colored the film, like the French trappers, you know, and the other tribes people, and it was great. It was really well done.
I think it also opens the door to say, hey, we're going to do Predator through the ages, and maybe we're going to go to, you know, the Napoleonic era, or do something else. I mean, you can go any other hot spots. Yeah. Well, apparently, I think that the suggestion was that this was the first time that they had come to the planet. But who's to say you could go to Rome if you wanted to. It's kind of like history through the eyes of a predator. So. Anyway, so number 3 totally surprised me. Didn't see this one coming. And this one was, when we talk about reboots, this is how you do a reboot. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. That was a fun one.
Agreed.
So that's both me and Robert. So we're back to the top. We're at Mike.
We're at Mike. Mike's number 2 is Men. I don't think this is on anybody else's list. Okay, so this is written and directed by Alex Garland, and Mike says, this might seem like a stretch, but you've never seen a film quite like 2022's Men. Really, it's a pretty singular place in the world of psychedelic horror. Frankly, there is nothing that compares to this shocking bit of A24 business, unless you count Cronenberg's 1979 classic The Brood as a contemporary, but that was 43 years ago. Oh God.
Wow.
Men, directed by friend of horror Alex Garland, who did 28 Days Later and Annihilation, is exactly the film that 2022 needed, nay, required. By managing to expertly weave through a minefield of trauma, sexual repression, male insecurity, and post #MeToo movement dynamics, Garland turns in one of the best horror films of the year. I saw Men and enjoyed it, and whoever did the special effects should win an Oscar, but it did not have the lasting impact on me that it had on Mike.
I didn't get around to it yet. Yeah.
It's totally worth seeing. Rory Kinnear is great. Jesse Buckley is great. It is weird, and the effects are super cool, but not in my top 10 list.
Yeah.
My number 2 is Watcher.
That's mine.
All right.
Oh, nice.
Directed by Chloe Okunu. I caught this one at South by Southwest, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. And boy, is this movie for me. This is such a me movie. And this stars Micah Monroe, Carl Glusman, and Bern Gorman, and it's about
Bern
Julia.
Gorman's so creepy.
Yeah, he's so creepy. The second you see him and the movie's called Watcher, you're like, well, that's it.
Yeah, it's
he's
like,
the Watcher.
I do not trust that guy. He just looks evil.
Julia follows her husband Francis to Romania. They uproot their lives from New York and move to Bucharest. He's Romanian. She doesn't speak Romanian. She's kind of alone in her apartment. And every time she looks out the window, she sees a gentleman looking back at her from a window across the street. Mayhem, stalking, and a super surprise, bloody killer ending ensue. Boy, it's fun.
This is fear-soaked in paranoia juice.
Yeah,
right. This is
but just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not following.
That's right. I mean, it's one of those kinds of things, and the husband is trying to be supportive, but he's like, I've got to go to work. It's like he might be a little weird, but I don't think there's anything wrong.
Right. But there's also a serial killer stalking the streets of Bucharest.
Right.
So
and there's a lot of they throw you tons of clues and misdirection. So it's not, though you suspect, Bern Gorman is the obvious.
Oh, of course.
Just look at him.
Just look at him. Yeah.
But it vacillates through the film, and you go, she could be wrong. She could be.
Yeah.
And it's like just because he looks menacing doesn't mean that he is a menace.
You're profiling him, and then he even says no, the police come to her door because he's like, she's following me as she is.
Yeah, and she's acting just suspicious too. And I love the it's Romania, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Bucharest, Romania.
Bucharest. It was just a really moody, a great setting. We haven't seen that setting before, and it's also she's a fish out of water. Right. She doesn't know the language. She doesn't understand the culture. Her husband was first generation Romanian. That's why he's got the job. So he fits in more comfortably, but she's all alone in this great but kind of ominous estate or apartment. But it's like, love that apartment. God, what
it was really, really cool.
Apartment. That was really cool, even if it is kind of creepy. I loved it. So I was kind of hyped up because Liz hyped it up after South by Southwest. I saw it in Overlook, and I went, "Yep, I'm down with
it."
That was really, really good. I'm hoping it gets some track, but I hope that it doesn't get a sequel. I think that you just stay.
Oh no,
you stay there. You stay there.
It could.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
I don't think it could.
It's kind of like making her or not. It wasn't her movie because she was It Follows. Right?
Yes, she was in it.
But
It Follows.
Fortunately, they haven't done a sequel to It Follows.
Thank goodness.
Or because they did one for Don't Breathe, and that was it wasn't great.
It shouldn't have been done.
No,
right? Exactly. I don't think they could make a sequel to this.
No, because it really is a story that only wants to come and end with that story. You don't have any kind of a supernatural killer. This one, to be honest, could be straight thriller.
I think the amount of bloodshed and violence moves it out of that.
Yeah. For 3/4 of the movie, it could be straight thriller.
Yeah. The last act is horror.
Right. So, I consider it horror enough because it's my number 2.
Yeah.
So, Robert,
awesome. Mine too.
What's your number 2?
My number 2 is A Wounded Fawn.
Okay.
Very high.
Very new. Yeah.
By Travis Stevens. Yeah, I actually, this is one of the ones that I just caught recently.
And it went all the way to number 2.
It went all the way to number 2. It's I love the I like the folk horror, the mythology horror, and this goes off on a weird track of mythology and bloodshed and horribleness.
Yes.
That just struck a chord. And the performances in here with Josh Rubin and Sarah Lind, they did very, very well, I thought. So
what's the general
I'm
plot
surprised. I thought
this
was going to be on Joseph's because he lauded this movie early in the year from a festival. So this one is a guy who's a serial killer of women who he dates on like dating app, takes one on a, I'm just going to go on a getaway with this guy. I don't know. I'm not victim blaming, but ladies, don't go on the getaway with the guy you just met on the dating app.
That was a little weird. Yeah.
Yeah. But the tables are a little bit turned on him, and it goes pagan folk horror.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
This one, I really, really, really wanted to like it more than I did. Cool masks, not as cool as a Black Phone, but it didn't hit it for me. But I do want you to see Fresh and let me know if they filmed it in the same house.
That was a beautiful house.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was just all the sets were really, really
Yeah.
well done, and the lighting and everything.
Yeah.
That whole scene where she's dancing, and when she first gets to the apartment, she's dancing through the apartment and the camera's
Yeah.
following her. That was
It's really,
great.
really well made. I mean, Travis
Yeah.
Stevens obviously knows what he's
Yeah.
doing. It
Yeah.
just
We should try. Maybe we should try and get Travis Stevens back on because we interviewed him for.
The one with Barbara Crampton.
Jacob's wife.
Yes.
Jacob's wife. Oh
Yeah.
yes, Sarah Lind was in that, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think played
she
her sister.
Yeah.
Something like that. Okay. Well, as I was binging through movies coming through this year, A Wounded Fawn was one of the ones that was on my. Do I have enough time to catch this on my my end of the year binge? Which
I
Just,
recommend it.
it's on Shutter. Yeah, I'd say
Check it out.
watch it.
Yeah, I caught it on Shutter.
No,
Yeah.
I totally will. Okay, and so
All right.
we've done Joseph's. Now we are at our number ones.
We did Mike's because that was Black Phone.
Okay,
All right, Black Phone.
so we are back to Liz then.
Mine is Speak No Evil.
Oh
Whoa.
wow!
Yep.
All the way to number one.
All the way to number one. I cannot stop thinking about this movie, and I have now seen it 3 times, which is probably
Wow.
more than anybody needs to see this movie.
Yeah, I don't think
You're
I
a
could
glutton
watch
for
it.
you're a glutton for
Woo!
depression, aren't you?
That is a
It
feel
is,
bad
as
movie.
Joseph said, the feel-bad movie of the year. But at the beginning, it is one of those, it's cringe, which is
Oh,
also
yeah.
feel-bad. It is a cringe comedy of manners almost. If you're like, so the general plot of this movie is that 2 couples meet in Italy on vacation, and one is Danish and one is from the Netherlands, so Dutch, and they hit it off on the vacation. And the Dutch couple says, "Hey, why don't you guys come visit us?" And the Danes are like, "Yeah, I mean, let's go. What's the worst that could happen?" If you're asking that, don't go. When they get there, there's some real creepy stuff that's going on at the house, but you're like, and they're like, I don't know, is this just a weird Dutch thing? They don't want to be rude. They're staying in these people's house, but it's so cringy that you're like, at what point do you just say, screw this and these people, we're out of here? But at the same time, we're like, we want to be polite.
Mhm.
And
Well, I think they hit that point like a couple of times.
yes,
but
they do.
kept
But
getting
they
drawn
always go
in.
back. They
Yeah,
keep getting drawn back in and don't trust their gut to get out. And boy,
that was painful.
ugh, it
Painful.
becomes so painful. Now, the director, whose name is Christian Tafstrup, which I probably mispronounced, said in his director's statement, because I saw this at Sundance, so he did a recorded statement that he wanted to make the most unpleasant film that he could, and yes, he succeeded. He also referenced Lars von Trier and Michael Haneke as his influences. So if you know anything about either of those, you know that you are not about to watch a happy, fun movie. It is such a downer, but I have not stopped recommending it, thinking about it. It had to be number one. I mean,
Well, that's why I had to put it on my top 10. It had to be in there somewhere.
It's so good.
but
boy,
it's
is it.
not something I could watch again.
No.
That was a one and done for me.
Yeah. I feel that, but
See-
I wanted to get into it and like really be like,
Yeah, well,
okay, I can't stop thinking about it. I got to see it again. And I'm like, it's so good.
yeah.
It's so
And
good.
Robert, you have to remember that Liz will watch À l'intérieur as her
Yeah, it's
Christmas
my Christmas movie. I'll get it done this week.
So her love of
I wanna be
uncomfortable
uncomfortable.
movies. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Good.
Yeah. I want to be uncomfortable, but not as uncomfortable as my number one worst film of the year will make you. So,
Oh, right.
Cool.
I know what that is. We talked about that one a few times.
yeah.
Okay.
All right. What's your number one?
Well, we waited
Barbarian.
for it. Barbarian.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, it's like hugely original, creepy in all its deliveries. It started as with one solid good idea and delivered on a better one. This was
So the director, Zach Krieger, I heard an interview with him, and it was quoted as he said he wanted to make a film that was Fincher upstairs and Raimi downstairs. So
he succeeds
without
in both.
spoiling this movie, if you get
right.
what that would mean,
Right.
yes.
So in order to sort of avoid too many spoilerishy
Yes.
descriptions,
Yes, no spoilers.
I will read the IMDb description. It's like,
Yes, that's fair.
in a town for a job interview, a young woman arrives at her Airbnb rental. It's a theme.
Yeah.
Late at night, only to find that the house has been mistakenly double booked by a Skarsgård.
Yep.
By a Skarsgård.
and a strange man
By
is already
Pennywise.
standing there. Yeah.
Oh, that should have been her first clue.
Yeah.
Against her better judgment, she decides to stay the night anyway, but soon discovers that there's much more to be afraid of in the house than the other house guest. That is so true.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
but he gives off
Creepy
yeah,
vibes.
he is, and even when he starts mellowing on, this is the Bill of the Skarsgård clan,
Yes.
who plays Keith, and he tries a little too hard. It's like, oh no, yeah, just come in and stay. It's like, I'll take the bed, and she goes, I don't know, and he goes into a room, locks the door, and all these kinds of things, and then even if the how the trust gets made and then when the weird shit happens, I mean, I think Mike in his description also totally aware. So Mike's description of Barbarian, he said, unless you live under a rock or don't just go online, you probably have already heard about Barbarian. It's been called this year's.
That's my description.
Okay, yeah.
I wrote this one.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you can go ahead and you want to finish the.
I said it's been called this year's Malignant, and most reviews say don't read the reviews and go in as knowing as little as possible. So I agree with that sentiment, and it will keep it really, really short.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can't see it on the big screen anymore. It's out on HBO Max. But boy, was this fun time in the theater because it was batshit crazy. It was this year's Malignant, and if you've seen Malignant, you know
this was a much better movie than Malignant. I mean,
Yes.
I
It was,
number
for
one.
sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Justin Long, God love
so
Justin
good.
Long because he's like he's been in the
He's a
horror
treasure.
business.
He is a treasure.
And it's funny. It's like you still think of him as a kid, but now he's in his probably late 30s. But he plays a dick, right?
He does.
And-
Yeah.
Although kind of a funny dick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of like
It just cracked me up when he kept measuring.
yes.
stuff as
Oh, that was so good. And
Yes.
it was
My
like,
God.
Huh?
So
Creepy cellar. I wonder. This could be more.
This is
square
extra
footage.
square footage. Yeah.
I can get more money out of this. I can sell because he's desperate to sell.
He's
this
the
thing.
owner of the Airbnb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the surprises that come, it's like, well, I didn't see that coming. That was not what I expected.
There's no way you could see it coming.
No.
Anybody
No.
who says they could is lying.
Right. And yet it doesn't.
There's no way.
But at the same time, it makes, in hindsight, it's like it all
Sense?
it all goes together.
Kind
It's
of
just
sense.
you're working with a puzzle that you're doing you got the edges of the puzzle built after the first act, and you still can't figure out what the image is going to be.
Right. You don't know what the middle of the puzzle is.
And then once you start putting it together, you're going, oh wow.
But then it's still
yeah,
the last like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
yeah,
I mean, it's this year's Malignant.
Yeah.
And nothing
Yeah.
this crazy has come to the theater
yeah. And
or to our screen
so
since that.
high marks for originality.
For sure.
And I, that this is where you go, okay, this new golden age of horror still keeps cooking because, my hope is that this makes a good bit of money, but not so much money that they try and sequelize it. Right.
Oh, I don't know.
God,
if
I
he
hope
could.
not.
Maybe a prequel, but then it would just be torture porn.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Richard Brake is great. Who we find later in the movie, Georgina Campbell, who's Tess.
Yeah,
who is
she's great.
the
Yeah,
lead.
she did a good job.
She's great, and you feel for her. It's like, girl, what are you doing going to to like derelict parts of Detroit for your.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
I was wondering. That was the only part of the movie I was a little bit
It's like-
what?
it's the-
Because
But
you look
even
at this
the job
house-
interview person was like, "Where are
Oh,
you staying?"
Why are
Yeah,
you staying
like-
there? It's like the
Yeah.
only house in the neighborhood that
Yeah.
still has windows.
Yeah, not
It's
But
just-
hey, that's why you don't get a vacation rental.
Not-
I
not
say,
to
as I'm
point a
about to go
fine-
stay in one next week.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're
Bum, bum.
we're
if there's
we're
a Skarsgård in it, just,
Yeah.
just
Oh,
say no.
I don't know. I might go in.
Hello.
Yeah, which Skarsgård?
Yeah. We say this right as I'm contemplating some Austin Airbnbs because the hotel stays are
If there's a Skarsgård in it, tell me.
yeah. Liz might change her mind and back out of the
I'll
Holiday
change my
Inn.
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so that's my number one. And Robert, where was it in yours?
This was number 7 for me.
Okay.
And for Mike, it was
For
his.
Mike, it was number 8.
And for Liz, did you have it on yours?
I have it as number 4.
So
Nice.
that's
So everybody had
that's a
Everybody
pretty
has
good
it.
consensus, but I don't think Joseph was able to see it because
He has not been able to
So-
see it yet. Yeah.
Okay, so that Robert, you've got the last one then.
What is it?
It stars a bacon.
Oh. Is it Smile?
Smile is my number
Ah.
1.
Really?
I love that movie.
I was
That
okay.
was super good.
I was totally stunned. I thought, you go. It's your number one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So written directed by Parker Finn, starring Sosie Bacon, 6 Degrees of Sosie Bacon. And let me find my notes here.
This was a fun one.
It's
was.
almost like It Follows or something, you know.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
It's that whole I'll just say, after this woman, after she witnesses a bizarre traumatic incident involving a patient, Dr. Rose Cotter, who is Sosie Bacon, starts experiencing frightening occurrences that she can't explain, and she must confront her troubling past in order to survive. Blah blah blah. That's sort of
Yeah.
neither here nor there. But so the thing that really grabbed me though was that, and I don't want to spoil anything, but it creates this very long-lived mystery, and
Yes.
she dives in and she just keeps going deeper, and she brings her ex
Boyfriend.
fiance
Yeah.
cop
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
friend into it, and he digs into it, and there's all these people that you would think that they wouldn't believe what she was saying, but eventually they do, and everyone's like, how did we not see this before? What is actually going on here?
Yeah.
So it's that part that really grabbed me, and then the performances of Sosie Bacon were
Yes.
great.
Yes. Yes.
She's
She was
great.
amazing, and then the horrific special effects scenes were also really well done.
and
So-
the end, which it sort of went into many spirals,
Mm-hmm.
and because of the, I think there's a lot of, she's a psychologist, and
Mhm.
and a lot of this plays on madness and hallucination and
Right. Is it all in
threats
her head?
threats perceived and
Right.
real, and so a great psychological thriller. I had shied away from this because at first I thought it was a PG-13 movie, and no, it's an R-rated movie, and
Mhm.
it deserves to be an R-rated movie.
Yeah, there's some gross stuff. in
Mhm.
it.
But there was a movie that had like people who were smiling, that that text app that like makes people
Yeah.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
and
It was horrible.
It was a horrible movie from about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was like, oh yeah, I
like
know what you're talking about.
like
Truth or Dare.
Truth or
something?
Dare.
I can't-
it was Truth
Is
or
that
Dare.
what
And it kind of like the marketing and stuff, like the poster made it look like this is cheesy. This is like,
But it did,
for the teens. But when it premiered at Fantastic Fest, people like went nuts for it, and that's a tough crowd.
yeah.
So-
That's the the truth serum.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Oh, the festival circuit audience.
Yeah.
well,
yeah.
but but
A one like that where they're like
diehard horror fans, right?
they want horror. Yeah.
I'm just gonna check the box office here, but this was, I was saying that this was one of the surprise hits.
216 million.
It made more than Black Adam.
Yeah.
Right? It's like
and
a
it was
big
only
superhero.
shot on
I
a
would hope so.
$17 million budget. And I say only in quotes.
Yeah, but this one has the potential to be to get sequelized. Unfortunately, I think, because if you make that much money, they're gonna try and take another swing at that one. But because it's a there is a there's an old movie, Curse of the Demon, that I would also tie this to, because it's like there's a cursed turd.
Yeah.
and how it gets passed along is the core driving element to this movie. And it's a great one. And it's also one that you can't get out. You can't escape this kind of a thing. And in a way, it has elements of The Grudge in there as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's something that you're on an hourglass, and you don't, and you know that you've got to do something within that time period, and there's some pretty unsavory things that you may end up there's awful consequences. No matter, it's like damned if you do, double damned if you don't.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
So, anyways, I think that wraps up our top 10